In our hyper-connected modern world, we are currently living through an absolute epidemic of distraction. We are bombarded by non-stop notifications, chasing cheap hits of dopamine, and collapsing into mental exhaustion the very second life throws a minor curveball our way. We spend thousands of dollars trying to fix our focus with productivity apps and self-help trends. But we are completely looking in the wrong place. 2,000 years ago, in the chaotic heart of the Mediterranean, a group of radical thinkers cracked the ultimate code to unshakable focus and ironclad willpower. They didn't view discipline as a vague personality trait or an elusive mood. They viewed the human mind as a literal muscle that required daily, systematic hypertrophy. Welcome to the mental gym of Stoic discipline. Today, we are stripping away the academic fluff to reveal the exact psychological weightlifting routines that turned ancient philosophers into invincible mental titans. The mental gymnasium of Athens. To understand Stoic discipline, you have to completely throw out the modern misconception that philosophy is just a bunch of old guys wearing bedsheets and talking about abstract clouds. When Zeno of Citium founded Stoicism on a painted porch in Athens, he wasn't creating a library. He was building a psychological gymnasium. The ancient Stoics realized that your brain is constantly drifting toward weakness, comfort, and emotional chaos by default. To counter this natural decay, they treated daily life as a continuous series of heavy mental sets. They understood that every single obstacle, rude comment, or sudden stroke of bad luck wasn't a tragedy. It was a heavy dumbbell designed to test and build your psychological capacity, forcing your character to grow stronger through direct, intentional resistance. The dichotomy of control weightlifting. The absolute bedrock exercise in the Stoic training routine is a mental lift called the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, a man who rose from the brutal chains of Roman slavery to become one of history's most influential minds, codified this practice into a strict, daily sorting mechanism. Every single time a situation triggers anxiety or anger inside you, you must instantly split it into two distinct columns. Things that are completely up to you, and things that are not. Your thoughts, your actions, and your current responses are under your absolute control. The weather, the chaotic economy, and the messy opinions of other people are completely outside it. Spending your valuable mental energy stressing over the uncontrollable column is the psychological equivalent of trying to bench press a shadow. Premeditatio malorum, the worst-case scenario set. While modern self-help culture tells you to manifest positive vibes and visualize endless success, the Stoics practiced a highly intense, contrasting exercise called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Marcus Aurelius, the absolute ruler of the Roman Empire, would sit in his imperial tent every morning and actively visualize the absolute worst-case scenarios before his day even started. He imagined his closest allies betraying him, catastrophic military defeats, public humiliation, and his own sudden death. By intentionally exposing his mind to these dark concepts in a controlled environment, he completely stripped them of their power to shock him. This deliberate negative visualization builds a massive psychological callus, ensuring that when real chaos inevitably hits, you remain perfectly calm while everyone else is panicking. Voluntary hardness and strategic poverty. The Stoics knew that comfort is the ultimate silent killer of human willpower. If you are always surrounded by soft beds, rich food, and climate-controlled rooms, your mind becomes incredibly fragile, turning you into a helpless slave to your environment. To combat this soft decay, Seneca famously advised stepping away from luxury and spending a few days eating the cheapest food, wearing rough, unwashed clothes, and sleeping directly on the cold floor. This practice of voluntary hardness forces you to confront your deepest material fears head-on. By proving to your biology that you can survive and even thrive with absolutely nothing, you completely destroy the power of comfort over your life, making you completely bulletproof to sudden financial or physical hardship. The evening review mental audit. You would never walk into a physical gym, lift random weights for an hour, and completely ignore your progress or form. Yet, most people stumble through their lives without ever auditing their mental performance. The Stoics fixed this through a mandatory evening psychological audit. Before drifting off to sleep, Seneca and Marcus Aurelius would mentally rewatch their entire day like a coach reviewing game film. They asked themselves 3 sharp, uncompromising questions. What did I do well today? Where did my discipline falter? How can I handle that exact situation better tomorrow? This non-judgmental, hyper-consistent evening review prevents you from sweeping your failures under the rug, ensuring that your cognitive muscle continuously adapts and grows sharper every single day. A more fatty, loving, the heavy weight. When life drops a crushing piece of bad luck on your lap, the natural human reflex is to whine, complain, and cry out about how unfair the universe is. But the Stoics viewed this emotional resistance as a massive waste of metabolic energy. They pioneered the concept of a more fatty, which translates literally to the intense love of one's fate. Epictetus taught that you should not merely tolerate the chaotic events of your life. You must actively choose to love them. See every sudden crisis, broken relationship, or professional setback as the exact raw material you need to practice courage and resilience. The heavy weight isn't blocking your progress. The heavy weight is the progress, acting as the perfect fuel to forge an unshakable character. Cognitive distance and the view from above. When you are trapped in the middle of a high-stress crisis, your brain automatically zooms in, making a tiny, temporary problem feel like the literal end of the world. To break this claustrophobic mental loop, Marcus Aurelius practiced an imaginative exercise known as the view from above. He would mentally rocket his perspective high out into the cosmos, looking down at the entire planet Earth. From this staggering cosmic height, he viewed entire empires rising and falling, massive armies clashing, and his own current political anxieties shrinking down into invisible, microscopic dust particles. This sudden expansion of scale instantly shatters your egocentric panic, providing the vital cognitive distance needed to view your daily stresses with total objectivity and calm composure. The art of inner citadel defense. The Stoics spent a lifetime constructing what they called the inner citadel, a fortified fortress built deep within the human psyche that no external force could ever breach. They realized that outside events, no matter how chaotic or violent, cannot actually hurt your character or peace of mind without your direct permission. A person can insult you to your face, but the insult only gains power if your mind chooses to embrace the injury. By maintaining a strict, vigilant watch over your internal judgments, you can easily filter out the toxic noise of the outside world. Your boss, your finances, or the media can attack your outer walls, but your inner fortress of self-control remains completely untouchable. Memento mori, the ultimate finisher set. If you want to completely crush procrastination and instantly blow away all trivial anxieties, you have to run your mind through the ultimate Stoic finisher set. Memento mori, the constant, vivid remembrance of your own mortality. Marcus Aurelius kept this truth resting right at the front of his consciousness, constantly reminding himself that he could drop dead at any given second. This wasn't a depressing or morbid thought. It was the ultimate, high-octane clarifier of human action. When you fully accept that your time on this planet is actively ticking down to zero, you instantly lose the desire to waste hours scrolling mindlessly, arguing over petty internet drama, or paralyzing yourself with silly fears. Death becomes your ultimate productivity coach, turning philosophy into raw action. The absolute grand finale of Stoic discipline is understanding that philosophy is entirely useless if it remains trapped inside a book or a theoretical discussion. Epictetus famously scolded his students for bragging about how many books they had read, challenging them instead to show him how those books had actually transformed their behavior in the real world. True Stoicism is a combat sport. It is tested when you are exhausted at work, when someone cuts you off in traffic, or when you are staring down a difficult personal failure. By choosing to step into the mental gym every single day, you stop being a passive victim of your chaotic emotions and finally become the absolute master of your psychological destiny. The timeless secrets of Stoic discipline prove that building an ironclad, unshakable mind doesn't require a life free of stress or a magic productivity hack. It requires you to actively step up to the heavy weights of daily life, leaning directly into resistance, and training your focus with the exact same consistency you would give to a physical muscle. You carry the exact same psychological architecture as the emperors and gladiators who conquered their minds 2,000 years ago, and it is time to unlock that power. If this deep dive into ancient mental weightlifting kept your brain completely locked until the very end, make sure to slam that subscribe button, smash the like icon, and drop a comment below sharing which Stoic exercise you are hitting today. Thanks for watching, and stay disciplined.